Most of us take our eyesight for granted until it starts to fail. The truth is, our modern diet, loaded with processed foods and devoid of real nutrition, is putting our vision at risk. Eye diseases like macular degeneration, cataracts, and retinal damage are not just about aging, they're about what you eat every single day. But here's the good news, nature already gave us powerful, nutrient-packed foods that can protect the eyes and keep the retina healthy. Today I'm going to share with you 3 specific seeds, simple, affordable, and available at any grocery store that can act like natural medicine for your eyes. And once you understand the science behind them, you'll never look at these tiny foods the same way again. When you think about omega-3 fatty acids, the first thing that probably comes to mind is fish, salmon, sardines, maybe cod liver oil. And yes, those are excellent sources, but here's the thing, not everyone eats fish, and certainly not every day. Some people avoid it for cost, others for taste, others for sustainability. The good news is, you don't have to rely solely on fish to get these essential fats. Nature tucked them away in some of the smallest foods you can imagine. Seeds, specifically flax seeds, chia seeds, and hemp seeds. Tiny, but mighty. Now, why should you care about omega-3s in the first place? Because your retina, the light-sensitive tissue at the back of your eye, is essentially made of fat. That might sound surprising, but it's true. The retina is loaded with specialized fats called long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acids, particularly DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. DHA is critical for the function of the photoreceptor cells, the cells that capture light and allow you to see. Without sufficient DHA, those cells don't work properly. Think of it like the oil in your car engine. If the oil is clean and plentiful, the engine runs smoothly. If it's low or dirty, the engine sputters, stalls, or breaks down. Your retina is no different. The problem is, most modern diets are dangerously low in omega-3s and disproportionately high in omega-6 fatty acids, thanks to all the processed vegetable oils, soy, corn, canola, sunflower, pumped into packaged foods. Omega-6 fats in moderation aren't inherently bad, but when they dominate the diet, they push out omega-3s, creating an imbalance. And that imbalance is a recipe for inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the common denominator of virtually every degenerative disease, including eye disease. Now, here's where seeds come in. Flax seeds, chia seeds, and hemp seeds are rich in alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA, which is a plant-based omega-3. The body can convert ALA into EPA and DHA, the very same fats you find in fish oil. Is the conversion perfect? No. It's actually fairly inefficient. But here's the important part. If you're eating a diet overloaded with omega-6s, the conversion is even worse. If you reduce the omega-6 burden and add in more ALA from seeds, your body has a fighting chance to produce enough EPA and DHA to nourish your eyes. And even without conversion, ALA itself is anti-inflammatory, which helps protect the delicate blood vessels that feed the retina. Let's get specific. Flax seeds are one of the richest plant sources of ALA. Just 2 tablespoons give you more than your daily recommended intake. Trice seeds are close behind, and they have the added bonus of fiber, which helps regulate blood sugar. Why does that matter for your eyes? Because high blood sugar is toxic to the small vessels in the retina. So by eating choya, you're not just getting omega-3 safs, you're getting a built-in safeguard against diabetic damage. Hemp seeds add another dimension. They contain a balanced ratio of omega-3 to omega-6, close to what scientists believe humans evolved eating. In other words, hemp seeds help restore the natural equilibrium that our processed food diet destroyed. The science backs this up. Studies have shown that diets higher in omega-3s are associated with a lower risk of age-related macular degeneration, the leading cause of vision loss in older adults. Other studies point to omega-3s as protective against dry eye syndrome, which affects millions and is more than just an annoyance. It can compromise the surface of the eye and make it more vulnerable to infection. And let's not forget diabetic retinopathy, one of the fastest growing causes of blindness worldwide. Omega-3s have been shown to improve blood flow to the retina and reduce the inflammatory cascades that destroy vision in diabetes. Let me be clear. Eating seeds is not a miracle cure. If you smoke, if you live on sugar and processed food, if you ignore your blood pressure and blood sugar, seeds alone won't save your eyesight. But they are one of the simplest, safest, and most effective tools you can add to your daily diet to stack the odds in your favor. And unlike fish oil supplements, which can be expensive, rancid, or contaminated, seeds are inexpensive, shelf-stable, and versatile. Sprinkle ground flax on your oatmeal. Stir chia into your yogurt. Toss hemp seeds on your salad. You don't need to overhaul your life. Just make small, consistent additions. Let's zoom out for a second. The reason omega-3s work so well is that they get to the root of the problem, inflammation. Most eye diseases, whether it's macular degeneration, glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, or even cataracts, share inflammation as a common thread. Modern medicine tends to focus on treating the symptoms after the fact, injections into the eye, surgeries, or pharmaceuticals. But what if we addressed the cause upstream? What if we nourished the retina from the inside out long before damage takes hold? That's the power of dietary omega-3s. They don't just patch the problem, they change the environment so the problem is less likely to develop in the first place. So when I say flax, chia, and hemp seeds are tiny but mighty, I'm not exaggerating. They're nutritional insurance for your eyes. They provide the building blocks your retina craves. They calm the fires of inflammation, and they balance out the distorted fat profile of the modern diet. And perhaps most importantly, they put the control back in your hands. You don't need a prescription. You don't need a specialist. You just need the right foods consistently every day. In the end, protecting your vision isn't about waiting for problems to show up at your next eye exam. It's about daily choices, tiny habits that accumulate over time. Seeds may look insignificant, but when it comes to your retinal health, they're nothing short of profound. And that's the lesson here. Sometimes the smallest changes in your diet make the biggest difference for your long-term health. When we talk about vision loss, most people imagine it as something inevitable, something that comes with age, like wrinkles or gray hair, but that's not the full story. One of the biggest culprits behind eye disease is not age itself, but oxidative stress. Now, what does that mean? Oxidative stress is essentially your body rusting from the inside out, just like a car left in the rain corrodes over time. Your cells corrode when free radicals, the unstable molecules produced by metabolism, pollution, UV light, even junk food, start damaging DNA, proteins, and fats. And nowhere is this damage more catastrophic than in the eyes. The retina is one of the most metabolically active tissues in the entire body. It's burning energy constantly, 24 hours a day, even when you're asleep. That's because your photoreceptor cells, the rods and cones that allow you to see light, color, and detail, never take a break. But with high metabolism comes a byproduct, free radicals. These unstable molecules chip away at the integrity of retinal cells, and if they're not neutralized, they accumulate damage over time. That damage is the foundation for diseases like age-related macular degeneration, cataracts, and glaucoma. This is where antioxidants come in. Antioxidants are like fire extinguishers for oxidative stress. They stabilize free radicals, neutralize them, and prevent them from wreaking havoc on delicate tissues. And when it comes to antioxidants, certain seeds pack a surprising punch. Pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and sesame seeds are prime examples. They may not look like much, but they're loaded with compounds like vitamin E, zinc, selenium, and carotenoids, nutrients with proven protective effects on eye health. Let's start with vitamin E. This fat-soluble antioxidant is crucial because it embeds itself directly into the membranes of your cells, including the photoreceptors in your retina. Think of it as a shield that absorbs oxidative hits so your cells don't have to. Numerous studies have linked higher vitamin E intake to a lower risk of cataracts and macular degeneration. Sunflower seeds in particular are one of the best natural sources of vitamin E. Just a small handful can provide nearly half your daily requirement. And unlike synthetic supplements, which often miss the complexity of natural food, vitamin E from seeds comes in its natural balance of tocopherols, the forms your body actually recognizes and uses. Now, zinc deserves its own spotlight. Zinc is not an antioxidant in the traditional sense, but it's a cofactor, meaning it helps activate antioxidant enzymes. It also plays a direct role in the metabolism of vitamin A, which is essential for the production of rhodopsin, the pigment in your retina that allows you to see in low light. Without enough zinc, you don't just get poor antioxidant defense, you also impair your ability to adapt to darkness. That's why zinc deficiency has been linked to night blindness. Pumpkin seeds are one of the richest plant-based sources of zinc. By eating them regularly, you're not just giving your retina tools to fight oxidative stress, you're literally fueling your ability to see in dim conditions. Then there are carotenoids, pigments like lutein and zeaxanthin. These aren't just antioxidants, they're targeted protectors for the eye. They accumulate in the macula, the central part of the retina, responsible for sharp, detailed vision. Once there, they act like internal sunglasses, filtering harmful blue light and neutralizing the oxidative stress that comes with it. While carotenoids are more famously found in leafy greens, seeds such as pumpkin and sesame contribute to this nutrient pool. And because they're eaten with healthy fats, the absorption of these fat-soluble pigments is enhanced. The evidence isn't just theoretical. Clinical trials like the AREDS age-related eye disease study have shown that combinations of antioxidants, including vitamin E, zinc, and carotenoids, can slow the progression of macular degeneration by as much as 25%. That's not a cure, but it's a massive reduction in risk, and it means preserving independence and quality of life for millions of people. Now imagine if, instead of waiting until disease already appears, we incorporated these antioxidants into our diet early, consistently, through whole foods like seeds. The preventive potential is enormous. Here's another angle. Oxidative stress doesn't just come from inside your body, it also comes from outside. UV radiation from the sun, air pollution, cigarette smoke, even the blue light from screens. All of these pile extra oxidative stress onto your eyes. You can't escape them completely, but you can buffer against the damage. Seeds, with their dense nutritional profile, act like reinforcement troops, constantly mopping up free radicals before they inflict permanent harm. Of course, we need to address the elephant in the room. Supplements. Walk into any pharmacy and you'll see shelves of antioxidant capsules promising to save your eyes. Some have merit, but here's the problem. Isolated antioxidants don't always work as expected. In some cases, they can even backfire because antioxidants don't function in isolation. They operate as part of a network, handing off free radicals from one molecule to the next until they're fully neutralized. Whole foods like seeds provide that network, complete with cofactors, minerals, and synergistic compounds that make the system work. That's something no pill can truly replicate. And let's not forget practicality. Seeds are cheap, portable, and versatile. Sunflower seeds make an easy snack. Pumpkin seeds can be roasted and sprinkled on soups or salads. Sesame seeds are the backbone of tahini, a staple in Middle Eastern cuisine. By weaving them into your meals, you're not just making your food tastier, you're fortifying your retina against the relentless tide of oxidative stress. So the takeaway is this. Oxidative stress is inevitable, but blindness is not. The choices you make today determine how well your eyes withstand the wear and tear of time and environment. Seeds rich in antioxidants are not exotic, not expensive, and not complicated. They're everyday foods with extraordinary protective power. By eating them regularly, you're giving your eyes the tools they need to fight back, to stay resilient, and to keep you seeing clearly, not just for a few more years, but for decades. When you zoom out, the message becomes clear. Oxidative stress is a slow, silent attacker. You won't feel it today, you won't notice it tomorrow, but years from now, it will decide whether you're able to read, drive, or recognize the faces of your loved ones. Seeds tip the balance in your favor. And in a world where so much of our health feels out of our control, that's an opportunity too powerful to ignore. When people think about protecting their eyes, they usually think about sunglasses, or maybe avoiding too much screen time. Very few think about their blood sugar. But here's the truth. One of the fastest growing threats to vision worldwide is not the sun, not screens, not even age, it's sugar. More specifically, chronically high blood sugar and the havoc it wreaks on the delicate blood vessels of the eye. And that's where seeds come in, because the right ones can actually help stabilize blood sugar and protect your vision in ways most people have never been told. Let's start with the big picture. Your retina is one of the most vascular tissues in your body. It's loaded with tiny blood vessels called capillaries. These capillaries are what deliver oxygen and nutrients to the photoreceptors so you can see, but those vessels are fragile when blood sugar runs high, as it does in prediabetes and diabetes. Glucose molecules attach to proteins in a damaging process called glycation. Imagine pouring syrup over your electronics. Sticky, corrosive, destructive. That's what high blood sugar does inside your vessels. It thickens and weakens the capillary walls, blocks blood flow, and eventually causes leaks. The result? Swelling, bleeding, scar tissue, and ultimately vision loss. That's diabetic retinopathy, and it's now the leading cause of blindness among working-age adults. But here's the kicker. It doesn't take full-blown diabetes for damage to occur. Even slightly elevated blood sugar over time accelerates oxidative stress, inflammation, and vascular dysfunction in the retina. In other words, millions of people walking around with just a little high blood sugar are already on the road to vision loss and don't know it. That's why controlling blood sugar isn't just about avoiding diabetes, it's about protecting your eyes for the long haul. Now, how do seeds fit into this story? Because seeds like chia, flax, and pumpkin are nutritional powerhouses when it comes to blood sugar regulation. First, they're packed with soluble fiber. Fiber is the unsung hero of metabolic health. It slows down the absorption of sugar in the gut, preventing those sharp spikes in blood glucose that do the most damage. When you eat chia seeds, for example, they form a gel-like substance in your stomach, creating a natural slow-release system for the carbohydrates you consume. That means your blood sugar rises gradually rather than skyrocketing, less roller coaster, more stability. Flax seeds add another layer of protection. In addition to fiber, they contain ligneans, plant compounds with antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties that have been shown to improve insulin sensitivity. Better insulin sensitivity means your body can handle glucose more effectively, keeping it out of the bloodstream where it causes damage. And pumpkin seeds, they're loaded with magnesium, one of the most overlooked minerals in modern nutrition. Magnesium is essential for hundreds of enzymatic reactions, including those that regulate blood sugar. Low magnesium levels are strongly associated with insulin resistance, and by restoring this mineral through foods like pumpkin seeds, you can literally make your cells more responsive to insulin. This isn't just theory, it's been demonstrated. Multiple studies show that diets rich in seeds help lower fasting blood glucose, improve HbA1c, a marker of long-term blood sugar control, and reduce markers of inflammation in people with metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. And while these studies often focus on heart disease or diabetes risk, the benefits extend directly to the eyes, because every improvement in blood sugar translates into less glycation, less vascular damage, and less risk of retinopathy. Let me give you a clinical reality check. By the time most people are diagnosed with diabetes, about 20% already have some degree of retinal damage. That means the disease was silently attacking their eyes years before anyone told them there was a problem. Once that damage starts, the medical options are limited and invasive, laser treatments to cauterize leaky vessels, injections into the eye to control abnormal blood vessel growth, sometimes surgery. These treatments can slow progression, but they don't restore what's lost. Prevention is everything, and prevention starts not with a prescription, but with food. Seeds are particularly powerful because they tackle multiple angles at once. They improve blood sugar control, reduce systemic inflammation, and provide antioxidants to combat oxidative stress, all of which converge on protecting the retina. Compare that to the typical Western diet loaded with refined grains, sugar, and seed oils that do the opposite. They spike blood sugar, fuel inflammation, and strip away the body's defenses. The contrast couldn't be sharper. There's also a bigger lesson here. People often ask, what's the one food I should eat for my eyes? But the answer isn't a single food, it's a dietary pattern. Seeds aren't magic bullets, but they're keystone foods, meaning they make the whole system work better. Add them to a diet rich in vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. And you're creating an environment where blood sugar is naturally regulated, inflammation is kept in check, and your eyes can thrive. Keep them out, and you're leaving your retinas exposed to one of the most relentless assaults of modern life, sugar overload. So, what's the practical takeaway? Make seeds a daily habit. Sprinkle chia in your morning yogurt. Blend flax into a smoothie. Toss pumpkin seeds onto your salad or into a trail mix. It's not about occasional superfood binges, it's about consistent, everyday protection. Think of seeds as silencers on the metabolic gun that shoots holes in your vision. They don't just feed you, they protect you. In the end, blood sugar control is not just a diabetes issue. It's an eye health issue. Your retinas are like canaries in the coal mine. They show the damage of high blood sugar earlier and more clearly than almost any other tissue. By eating seeds that stabilize glucose and strengthen metabolic resilience, you're not only preventing blindness, you're protecting your brain, your heart, your entire body. That's the ripple effect of nutrition. And that's why the message is simple. If you want to protect your eyes, don't just think about what you see, think about what you eat. Because every spoonful of sugar that hits your bloodstream is a gamble with your vision. Seeds tilt the odds back in your favor. They're small, they're simple, they're powerful. And in the fight against diabetic eye disease, they might just be one of your best allies. If you've ever taken a photo with a digital camera and noticed that bright white glare when the sun hits the lens, you know what light can do to optics. Now imagine that happening inside your own eye, day after day, year after year. Light is both the reason we see and one of the biggest threats to the very system that lets us see. And the part of the eye that takes the brunt of that assault is the macula. Protecting it is essential, and two plant-derived pigments, lutein and zeaxanthin, are at the front lines. Seeds, as it turns out, can help supply the raw materials for this defense. The macula is the central area of the retina, responsible for your sharpest vision. Reading, driving, recognizing faces, these all depend on macular function, but the macula is constantly bombarded by high-energy blue light, the kind that comes not only from the sun but also from the screens glued to our faces all day. Over time, that light generates oxidative stress, damaging the photoreceptor cells. The result? Macular degeneration, the leading cause of blindness in older adults. Here's where lutein and zeaxanthin come in. These carotenoids are pigments found in plants, and when you eat them, they accumulate right in the macula itself, forming what scientists call the macular pigment. Think of it as internal sunglasses. They literally filter out harmful blue light before it can strike the retina, and at the same time, they act as antioxidants, neutralizing free radicals generated by that light. It's a two-pronged defense system, blocking the damage at the front door and cleaning up whatever slips through. Now you might be thinking, don't we get lutein and zeaxanthin from leafy greens? And yes, spinach and kale are famous for them. But here's what most people miss: seeds, particularly pumpkin and sesame, also contribute carotenoids, along with the healthy fats that make absorption possible. That's key, because lutein and zeaxanthin are fat-soluble. If you eat them without fat, your body doesn't absorb much. Seeds provide both the pigment precursors and the fat matrix to make sure those pigments actually get into your bloodstream, ultimately into your retina. Pumpkin seeds, for example, contain not just carotenoids, but also zinc and vitamin E, which synergize with lutein and zeaxanthin. Zinc helps shuttle vitamin A into the retina, while vitamin E guards the delicate fats in retinal cells from oxidation. Sesame seeds, meanwhile, carry compounds like sesamol, which enhance antioxidant activity and reduce inflammation, further strengthening the retinal defense system. It's the combination that matters. Seeds don't give you one nutrient, they deliver a package designed by nature to work in harmony. And let's talk evidence. Large-scale studies, like the ARED-S2 trial, have demonstrated that supplementation with lutein and zeaxanthin can slow the progression of macular degeneration in people already at risk. What's striking is that the effect is dose-dependent. The more of these pigments you get, the better the protection. But here's the catch. Supplements are often isolated and miss the synergistic context of food. Whole food sources like seeds provide not just the pigments, but the fats, minerals, and other antioxidants that make the system work optimally. Now let's connect this to the bigger story. Why do we even need these pigments in the first place? Because our modern lifestyle exposes us to more blue light than ever. Between phones, tablets, computers, and LED lighting, we're bathing our eyes in high-energy light that previous generations never had to deal with. Combine that with diets stripped of natural carotenoids, thanks to processed food, refined oils, and stripped grains, and you've got a perfect storm for macular degeneration. Seeds are one of the simplest ways to begin restoring what the modern diet and lifestyle have stolen. Another point worth mentioning, macular pigment density, the actual concentration of lutein and zeaxanthin in the macula, is measurable, and higher density correlates not just with reduced risk of macular degeneration, but also with better visual performance right now. People with higher pigment density have improved contrast sensitivity, less glare, and quicker recovery from bright light. In other words, these pigments don't just protect you in the long term, they enhance your vision in the short term. Eating seeds today could make your eyes more comfortable tomorrow, not just years from now. It's also worth noting that lutein and zeaxanthin aren't just eye pigments, they're brain pigments. Studies show they accumulate in areas of the brain involved in visual processing and cognition. Higher intake is linked to better memory, faster processing speed, and even reduced risk of dementia. Protecting your macula and protecting your brain turn out to be two sides of the same coin. And seeds, again, are part of the delivery system. So what's the practical takeaway? Simple: make seeds part of meals. Where carotenoids are present, sprinkle pumpkin seeds over a salad with leafy greens. Use sesame-based tahini as a dip for colorful vegetables. The seeds provide fats and synergistic nutrients that help shuttle lutein and zeaxanthin into your bloodstream. Without the fat, you're wasting much of the benefit. With the seeds, you're enhancing it. And here's the larger message: macular degeneration is not inevitable. Yes, it's common, but common does not mean natural. It's the product of modern diets and lifestyles colliding with the biology of a tissue that was never designed to endure this level of assault. Seeds are one of the tools, humble, overlooked, but profoundly effective, that can shift the balance back toward protection. So the next time you look at those tiny pumpkin or sesame seeds, don't dismiss them as garnish. See them for what they are, part of an internal defense system for your eyes. Every handful is another layer of sunglasses for your macula, another reinforcement against the relentless onslaught of blue light and oxidative stress. And that's not just nutrition, that's vision insurance. In the end, the lesson is clear. Your macula is precious, fragile, and irreplaceable. Lutein and zeaxanthin are the body's natural tools to protect it. Seeds are nature's way of making sure you get them in the right form, with the right cofactors, at the right time. Ignore them, and you leave your eyes exposed. Embrace them, and you're stacking the odds in favor of seeing clearly, not just now, but for decades to come. When it comes to health, especially eye health, most of the conversation today is reactive. We wait until something goes wrong, then scramble to fix it. Your eyesight blurs, you go to the ophthalmologist. They find early signs of macular degeneration. You get injections, you develop cataracts, you get surgery. We've built a medical system designed to intervene after the damage is already done. But let's be brutally honest, by that point, it's already too late to preserve what you had. Vision lost is vision lost. The real solution, the one we should be talking about, is prevention. And prevention starts not with pharmaceuticals or high-tech procedures, but with something profoundly simple. This is where seeds shine. Unlike synthetic supplements, unlike expensive therapies, seeds are natural, accessible, and incredibly practical. They don't require a prescription, they don't come with a laundry list of side effects, and they don't bankrupt you. You don't need a clinic, a lab, or an operating room. You just need a handful of tiny, nutrient-packed foods you can buy in any grocery store. That's not alternative medicine, that's common sense. Here's what makes seeds so powerful in the preventive model. They work on multiple levels at once. We've already talked about omega-3 CES protecting the retina, antioxidants, fighting oxidative stress, fiber and minerals regulating blood sugar, and carotenoids defending the macula. Think about that for a second. 4 different disease pathways, all converging on the same endpoint, vision loss, are being addressed simultaneously by the daily inclusion of seeds. That's not just effective, that's elegant. And it's something modern medicine, with its one drug for one disease mentality, struggles to replicate. But prevention isn't just about biochemistry, it's also about sustainability. Seeds are incredibly easy to incorporate into a daily routine. They don't require elaborate recipes or complicated prep. They're shelf-stable, portable, and versatile. Sprinkle flax or chia into your breakfast. Keep sunflower or pumpkin seeds at your desk for a midday snack. Use sesame-based tahini as a spread. These aren't exotic practices, they're simple habits that anyone can adopt. Prevention succeeds when it's practical, and seeds check that box. The beauty of prevention is that it doesn't just stop disease, it promotes resilience. Think about the contrast. When you rely on medicine to treat disease, you're always one step behind, patching up problems as they emerge. When you rely on nutrition and lifestyle, you're building a system that resists disease in the first place. You're reinforcing the walls before the storm hits. Instead of bailing water after the flood, seeds, by virtue of their nutrient density, are some of the most efficient reinforcements you can add. There's also the question of safety. Many people worry about taking high doses of supplements or medications long-term, rightfully so, because they often come with risks. Antioxidant supplements in pill form, for instance, sometimes show mixed or even negative effects in clinical trials because they deliver isolated compounds in unnatural doses. Seeds don't have that problem. They're food. You can eat them every day without fear of overdose. Your body knows what to do with them, because we've been eating them for millennia. That's the difference between prevention that's sustainable and intervention that's fraught with trade-offs. Now let's address the elephant in the room: cost. Medical treatments for eye disease are enormously expensive. The injections for macular degeneration, thousands of dollars per dose. Cataract surgery, thousands more. Managing diabetic retinopathy, endless appointments, medications, and procedures. Compare that to the cost of a bag of flaxseed or sunflower seeds. Prevention through nutrition is not only safer and more effective, it's orders of magnitude cheaper, and in a world where healthcare costs are spiraling out of control, that's not just a personal win, that's a societal necessity. But here's the problem: prevention doesn't make money. There's no billion-dollar industry behind pumpkin seeds. There's no patent on chia, so the system doesn't promote it. Instead, it promotes treatment, because treatment generates revenue. That's why you don't hear your doctor telling you to eat seeds to protect your vision, not because it doesn't work, but because the system isn't designed to reward prevention. That means it's on you to take control, to choose the natural, practical, preventive route before you end up needing the expensive, invasive interventions. And this isn't just about your eyes. When you adopt preventive habits like incorporating seeds, you're not just protecting your vision, you're protecting your whole. The same nutrients that safeguard your retina also support your heart, your brain, your metabolism. Omega-3 ceph reduce inflammation system-wide. Magnesium lowers blood pressure. Antioxidants protect your skin, your lungs, your immune system. Prevention is never organ-specific. It's whole body health. Your eyes are just one of the most visible beneficiaries. So what does this look like in real life? It looks like making seeds a non-negotiable part of your diet. A tablespoon of ground flax in your oatmeal. A sprinkle of chia in your smoothie. A handful of pumpkin seeds on your salad. A drizzle of tahini on your roasted vegetables. Small steps, repeated daily, over weeks, months, and years. Those steps compound into resilience. The kind of resilience that keeps you reading books in your 70s, driving safely in your 80s, and recognizing your loved ones' faces in your 90s. That's what prevention delivers. Quality of life, independence, dignity. In the end, the message is simple but profound. Seeds are not supplements. They're not drugs. They're food, nature's original medicine. They're practical, they're natural, and they're preventive. They won't make headlines because they're not glamorous, but they will make a difference because they work at the root of the problem. And when it comes to protecting your eyes, the choice is clear. You can wait until something breaks and hope medicine can patch it up. Or you can strengthen the system now, every day, with simple, consistent habits. Seeds give you that option. They're small, yes, but in the context of prevention, they're mighty. And when you look back decades from now with your vision intact, you'll realize just how powerful those tiny practical choices really were.